Welcome to the Leading Hope Podcast with Kevin Jack. Your influence will lead people somewhere, lead them towards hope. Everyone has 20 minutes to learn to become a better leader. Make it count.
Welcome to Leading Hope with Kevin Jack. I'm your host, VJ Williams, here with my friend and pastor, Kevin Jack. Thank you for joining us and taking time out of your day to become a better leader. We will release a new episode every Wednesday, so we'd love for you to subscribe, share on social media, and bring others along with us on this journey of becoming a better leader. Visit leadinghope.online to get updates and find out more about the Leading Hope community. Episode 20 today on the series of criticism. We are calling this one Preventing Criticism. And Kevin?
Preventing criticism.
Prevent some criticism.
So this is what we're getting into today. Criticism sticks the most when it comes when you didn't expect it. And this is how to describe it in my life. Like, normally I am able 80% of the time to maintain a healthy posture of, man, I'm not here to avoid criticism. It's here to help me grow. I'm not going to swing at pitches in the dirt. I'm only going to swing at ones and engage with criticism that is worthwhile. But every once in a while, something will catch me by surprise, catch me off guard, come at an unlikely moment, come from an unlikely source. And it's just like, all of a sudden, I just don't handle it in a healthy way. Mm-hmm. The criticism comes, and I don't respond how I wish I would. It occupies my mind. I start having the internal monologue that is a fight with the other person in which I have all the zingers and all the best lines, and they lose the argument. It bothers me. It messes with my identity and my understanding and sense of who I am. And so it's just to acknowledge that that's true for all of us. Criticism sticks the most, it hurts the most when you didn't expect it. So while most of the conversation on criticism is about responding to criticism, I want to talk today about preventing criticism, because you can keep yourself from receiving unhealthy criticism by learning how to take preventative measures against criticism. Now, there's something to acknowledge on the front end that isn't the thing that we really need to talk about today. But it's that the best way to prevent criticism is to do nothing. But we're not going to do that. But if you want to adequately prevent criticism, if you want to not receive any criticism in your life, do nothing, say nothing, be nothing, go nowhere, disrupt nothing. That's the best way to prevent criticism. Yep. Right, VJ? How do you feel about this?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Don't show up.
Don't show up.
Don't be around. Don't be available. Don't put yourself out there. Man, there's many, many ways to avoid criticism, and the biggest one I can ever think of is not being seen.
Yeah.
Not having a voice, just kind of sliding behind the scenes, hoping someone else does the work, right? Not, because that's really...
Never put yourself out there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the easiest way. You talk about, hey, sometimes whether it's criticism that you need to be receiving or not, we still need to do the work.
Yeah.
And so the easiest way to not get criticism is not do the work, right? You're not going to get criticized. Just be a ghost. Be not around, and you will never be criticized.
So as we talk about it, that's obviously not our option. This is not This is not a 20-minute podcast on, hey, here's how to prevent criticism.
Yeah.
Let's just do nothing.
Ghosting.
Yeah, that's exactly right within there. And so, but this is why there are some practical things you can do that prevent criticism in your life. So you need to understand there's a healthy way to respond to criticism, but there's also some healthy things you can do that will prevent that unexpected criticism from sticking in your life. And that is about being active, about seeking out feedback loops in advance. So you ready? This is a novel idea. Not all criticism has to come when you least expect it. People are already aware of the things that you can do better, of the flaws in your skills, in your competence, in your thinking, and in your character. They're already aware. And normally, they'll share it with you when they're most aware of it, but they're still aware of it now. And so you don't have to wait for them to come to you. You can seek it out in advance. And here's the beauty of seeking it out in advance. You are already postured to receive it in a healthy way. It doesn't come unexpected. It doesn't come like it blindsides you and it all of a sudden just throws you for a loop. By seeking out active, healthy feedback loops in advance, you ensure that you are postured in a healthy way to receive criticism, and then you won't receive as much criticism from unexpected sources at unexpected times. So this is what it looks like to have healthy feedback loops put in place in advance. 1, you need to have people you trust in terms of their opinion and their intention. You need to have people that you trust, their opinion and their intention. And so when we're saying opinion and intention, you're saying you trust their thinking and their purpose behind it. You're trusting their thinking, how they think through stuff, and that they value you and want what's best for you. Now, this is kind of a little bit of a sidebar. I'm not talking about loyalty. And I just want to say, like, I'll hear people talk all the time, and when they reference something like, oh, I love this person. Oh, they're this. Oh, they're this. Oh, they're so loyal. Like, man, I value loyalty in my spouse. Like, but I don't need loyalty from our staff. I don't need loyalty from our church, because honestly, this is how I view it. I don't want them to be loyal to me. I want them to be loyal to the kingdom. I want them to be loyal to what God is doing and to be called into that above all else. I don't need their individual loyalty to me as a person. I want their loyalty to be so much further beyond that. So when we're talking about people who you trust their opinion, I'm not saying people who are loyal to you. I'm saying you trust how they think and you trust what their intentions would be behind the criticism, that they would want what's best for you within that. And so what you need to do once you have that, this is number 2, you need to regularly invite feedback on specific issues and on your blind spots. You need to have regular times where you're going, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this decision? What do you think about this idea? I have different people. Every Sunday, almost every Sunday, I preach a message. Every time I preach a message, I have a group of people that give me feedback on that message. I trust their thinking. I trust their intentions behind that. I know I'm going to get feedback from them. It doesn't come as a surprise to me because I have invited that feedback in advance. And so that happens from specific people on specific issues. But there's also other people who I go to that I know I don't know my blind spots. And so I'll ask them, hey, what do you see that I may not see? Whether it's about a specific decision or it could be about my life as a whole. Like, hey, you got a front row seat on my life. What do you see that concerns you from your unique perspective that I need to know right now? And this is what I have found, is that when I am seeking out that feedback in advance, when I am deliberate about being proactive about receiving criticism, it actually prevents the amount of criticism that I receive. When I receive criticism from specific trusted sources on certain areas of my life and my life as a whole, I actually don't receive as much criticism as I normally would otherwise. And so this is just that there is a way in which you can actually prevent criticism in your life. And the hilarity of it is the way that you prevent criticism in your life is by actively seeking out criticism.
Yeah.
But when you actively seek out criticism, you ultimately have less criticism that comes your way.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Every time. One of the things, so one of the questions I just now wrote down here I want to ask right away is for someone who they may ask this question. Criticism hurts the most when it comes unexpected.
Yep.
Like when I don't expect it, that's when it hurts the most. And I know I shouldn't always expect criticism either, because then I'm probably way out of alignment with the job description, the organization, and its vision. If I'm always being criticized, then there's something wrong with that too.
Yeah, that's fair.
Do you know what I mean? So how do I find that healthy middle?
Yeah, that's good. It underneath that, for me is a belief. So I would say it like this. This is the metaphor I use with our team meetings. When we have a meeting, I don't view my job as we're not an army that I need to get everybody in line. That's not what I'm thinking when I'm in a meeting. I'm not going, all right, we got all these soldiers ready to go. I'm the general. Everybody get in line, which I know sounds ridiculous, but that's how a lot of people run meetings. Like, get in shape. Here we go. Get in line. We're marching forward. Move it. When I lead a meeting, I view it as we're trying to put together a puzzle, and every piece we need to complete this picture is in this room. I just need to hear it from every individual. And so when I'm approaching things that way, I'm getting the information that I need. And there's obviously a tension there. Like, there's no doubt about it. If all you're receiving is criticism, something is probably horrifically off.
Yeah.
Like, something is way out of line, way out of balance. And I don't know, go see a counselor, like go get a new job. I don't know if that's within there. Like if you're always receiving, is that bad advice? I feel like that might be bad advice within there. Don't listen to me. I don't know you and your situation within this context, okay?
Yeah.
So don't take that as gospel within there. If you are always receiving criticism, something is probably way off.
Yeah.
But I'd also guess that that you probably feel like you're receiving a lot more criticism than you're actually receiving.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
And what I have found is sometimes when people say they're receiving a bunch of criticism, it's just a whole bunch of people in their life who care about them saying the same thing in slightly different ways.
Yeah.
I go, everybody's criticizing me, but they're all telling you the exact same thing. Maybe you should listen within that.
Yes. Yeah, that's good. Talk more about what leaders can do. What are some of the strategies they can put in place to prevent criticisms that don't move the mission forward?
When I have trusted sources in my life who are continuously speaking to me, it helps me filter out what shouldn't get my attention. Because if I'm only receiving criticism from trusted sources, I should. If I'm only receiving criticism from untrusted sources, I should, if I'm healthy, be questioning whether or not I've become a narcissist. Because my implicit response within that will be to brush it off. So does that make sense? Like, if you're always receiving criticism from people who you shouldn't be receiving criticism from, you're gonna fight this internal tension of like, I don't feel like I should listen to them, but am I just so arrogant that I only think I'm right?
Yep.
And having continuous healthy criticism, healthy feedback, and I don't know, people like the term feedback more than criticism. I don't care. Like, I don't care what you call it.
Yeah.
As long as I know how to handle it, you call it whatever you want within there. And so as long as I'm receiving that healthy criticism or feedback from trusted sources, it grounds me in what I know matters most. So I am more postured to know what is healthy and what is unhealthy from everyone else.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer to that first question that I asked, is how you find that healthy middle. That's really
well, I knew
good.
you were going to ask that as a follow-up, so I just figured I'll just...
Yeah, that's... yeah, you did.
It's not true. It's not true.
But you bring up a good point where you're talking about the difference in what we call things. Feedback and criticisms. The point isn't what we call it. It's what we do with it.
Yeah.
And I think that happens a lot of times in our society.
People get caught up on the name.
We care so much about what we call it, so to speak. And it's fine to define and identify the issue and the problem, but we're so hung up on what it's called that we forget how to respond. And I just wanted to make sure that I'm guilty of that as well. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, you called it that. Why did you call it that? I don't think that's what it's called. We shouldn't call it that. We should call it this. Let's call it this. Going forward, we'll call it that. But what we forgot to do was avoid what we actually needed. The deeper, peel back the onion part of it, which is, hey, this is why it's important, not what it's called.
Call it whatever you want. What matters is how you handle it.
Yeah.
And while we're on this idea of like, man, having healthy criticism that'll ground you in reality so you can actually filter out the unhealthy criticism. I had a good conversation with a friend of mine who's a pastor whose church has done incredible things. And God is doing incredible things within and through that church. And he shared the story that he said he almost lost the church because he listened to a group of people that he thought that he thought he should listen to that told him to quit talking about reaching the community, to quit talking about moving towards the future, and instead gave him the counsel of saying, we need to focus on us, we need to build us, we need to make sure we're healthy. And the way he says it is he listened to them for 6 months, and he almost lost the church. I don't mean like it slipped out, but like the church that he planted for the purpose that he was a part of planting it was almost gone forever, because he said we became internally focused. We weren't anywhere near as healthy. And he said, I had to realize that and correct. And he said, 50 people left the church because they weren't happy with what I was doing. But so here's the reality is everyone has an opinion as to what you're doing and why you're doing it and how you should be doing it better. Everyone already has an opinion of that. And if you're not proactive on hearing the opinions that you need to hear, you're going to be swayed by the opinions that you don't need to hear and not know how to filter those out.
That's fantastic advice. That's so good. I was going to probably, because this is more about preventing criticism, but one of the things I think this just kind of leads into it with what you had written here. You have people you trust their opinion and their intention. So I don't know, a lot of people know this, but I mean, most people probably do, at least in this place. But obviously, VJ Williams, me, I value your opinion and your heart. So a lot of people may not know this about us, but we whatever you want to call it, fight.
Yeah.
We fight a lot. But that's because we love the vision.
Yeah.
And so it's that important to us.
Yeah.
It's that important. Like, I can't express how important what God has laid on our hearts for eternity for the people that we have in this place. And so
if most people knew the type of things that you said to me after messages or after meetings, and the type of things that I said to you after some meetings, they would think that we hated each other.
That's exactly right.
If you would just look at the transcript of our words, you're like, man, that was harsh.
Yes. And it's because I value so much your opinion and your heart, your intention. And while there is a level of loyalty, because I do happen to start this podcast every time with my friend Kevin Jack, I do believe there is a level of loyalty that will always be there, but nowhere near the value I place on your opinion and your heart. Like, I believe you when you say that your friend who just church didn't work out for him, and that sets you on a course that you'll never, that is the course that God puts you on. I know that about you. I see it in your face and the way you talk about other people in community and in love. Like, so when I don't have any problem arguing, fighting with you, because I know where your heart is, and the only thing that we're trying to figure out is what idea is best to accomplish the goal.
Yeah.
And I think, man, when you can get to that level, right, you can get that trust, that level, that the criticism, feedback, whatever you want to call it, is such a great thing and not a thing to be despised.
Yeah. And for most people, we struggle finding people who we're willing to fight with because we care so much about the same thing that we're fighting for.
That's exactly right.
And so let's take it within this context. Most marriages operate with this understanding of, I'm trying to get what's best for me. Even though I've given vows and committed to this person for life, I'm going to give what's best for me. And just to go, man, build something. Build something with your family. Build something with your future. Yeah. And then fight with each other about the thing that you're fighting for. Instead of just fighting with each other for what's best for you.
That's exactly right. And the more times you can get your teams to believe that we're going to fight over something so that we can fight together for something, man, God's ready to use that mentality, that mindset, and that heart, and push forward through whatever you thought you never could accomplish through him. And
so let's put this as an exercise real simply, to go, hey, who can you form alliances with? Who can you form partnerships with that you're fighting for the same thing? For those of you who are married, what would it look like if you sat down with your spouse and said, what are we fighting for? Not what are we fighting about, because that would be a long list. What are we actually fighting for?
Yeah.
Within your work, what are we fighting for? And that would shape the conversation in profound ways.
That's awesome. So that is episode 20, Preventing Criticism. Kevin, what do you want someone to leave with today?
I want you to know, and this isn't something that we actually even got into much on the episode. I think the most important thing about someone in leadership is that they would stay encouraged. If you're not encouraged about what you're doing, you're going to lose your edge, you're going to lose your positivity, you're going to lose your energy, you're going to lose your excitement. And one of the things that saps our encouragement is unexpected criticism. And so one of the best ways you can get better and grow, but also stay encouraged, is by seeking out positive feedback, criticism loops in advance, which is actually your best way of growing and preventing criticism in the long run.
That's awesome. Leaders, stay encouraged. Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. And we love hearing your stories and how the podcast is working in your life and your business as leaders. If you have a story, visit leadinghope.online and send that to us. We'd love, love, love to hear from you. It encourages us and it helps the community grow as better leaders. And remember, everyone has 20 minutes to learn to become a better leader. Make it count. See you next week for episode 21.